Hey guys, it's Iconic, and we have another update video for the Wretched Defiler League Star progress. So far, a lot has changed since the last update video, and I didn't really do a day 3, so it's going to sound like a lot more change, and it probably did in real time. But we'll go through all the changes, what I did, and what I recommend. And keep in mind, these two are not necessarily always the same thing, but I'll explain that more when we get there. First things first, you might quickly notice that I have 14 Spectres, 12 Filers, and 2 supports. The 2 supports are Spirit of Fortune, Perfect Spirit of Fortune, and Perfect Forest Warrior. Now, I do not recommend going 14 Spectres. I kind of did it for the memes. I also do not think that the beta buying points with +1 max Spectres is worth 14 Divines. I paid 13 for mine. I don't think it's worth 13 either. I think there are many upgrades to get before the 13 Divines is worth paying, which is why I said what I did versus what is actually optimal are two different things. What I would recommend instead of the shield or the order of upgrade I would recommend, I'll talk about that later. For now though, we're just going to talk about the upgrade path I did since last time for those who are actively following the upgrade path that I was taking. So first things first, I got a Dark Monarch. I got this for around about 4 Divines at the time, and it was a big DPS upgrade. I went from 5 Spectres to 10, losing my AG in the process, of course. And now that I had 10 Spectres, my regen obviously became worse, slightly worse. It was not degening, but it was slightly worse at this point. So I had to figure out how to drop my Empower support, because at the time, it was the reason why I was level 25 with this wand. The solution I ended up going with is using a Bone Meld amulet. This is a new amulet introduced this league that gives you minus res, so you have to overcap your res for this. Minus res per minion and increased defense per minion. Increased defense per minion is not needed for this version because we're still going to be using the Eldritch Battery keystone, which makes it so it doesn't actually protect us. So I didn't go for a max roll here, so it doesn't matter. Minions also gain 50% of your resistances, so we are capped res, so they gain a lot of resistances, which makes them so much tankier. But the reason we really got it was for the 2+2 to level of all minion skill gems. This is the equivalent of a replica Dragonfang's Flight -1 level. So it was really good for making sure this guy passed level 25 for the extra Spectre, so I stayed at 10 Spectres. After Bone Meld, my character was relatively stable, I would say. I used that version to farm for quite a bit. I'll link the day 2 snapshots in the description. But then I went on a big farming session. I was so comfortable with the character I had that I just kept farming. So I think I farmed like probably 60 maps, 40 maps or something like that without actually spending. So before I knew it, I had like 15-ish Divines. Then I got a lucky drop from the season mechanic, and that sold for 10 Divines. So that put me at 27-ish at the time, something like that. And then I decided to go on a big spending streak, which is why I made some very big upgrades. First and foremost, I crafted +2 Spectre boots so that I wouldn't need a Bone Meld and I could actually swap off of it when the time comes. I got +2 Spectre boots. The priority for this one was just to get boots that were better in terms of movement speed and stats given than the Bones of Uller. I got really tired of having 15% movement speed. And granted, 25% is not the highest I could have gotten. I could have gotten at least a 30%, maybe even 35%. But beggars can be choosers. I will probably end up recrafting this later, but this is fine for now, honestly. And it didn't cost me too much. I think I spent maybe 5 divines on it, give or take. Then I crafted a +1 Spectre chest. I got a Spectre chest that had really good prefixes. It has life because past a certain level of fat life, you will gain more life on your character while ignoring the keystone that we're trying to use. So this amount of life, 187, is more life for my character than the 15% or 10% increased life if you have no life on your chest, something like that. So I got one that had really good prefixes, and then I crafted the suffixes, and then I 6-linked it. This one ran me maybe another 6-ish Divines. It wasn't really wasn't expensive. It was 2D for the base and like the rest of the crafting process was like 6 to 8D, give or take. Then after I was done with these 2 upgrades, I had 12 minions, which is more than enough. The next upgrade should have been a +2 wand, but I wanted to meme and say I had 14 minions and see what it felt like to have 12 Wretched Defilers. So what did I do? I went for a bitter bind point instead. But again, +2 wand would have been a better upgrade for me here. Just putting it out there. Aside that, our character is in a very similar spot than when we were. Skill tree is still the same. We haven't respect our skill tree. We are using this 1% to balance out the degen from the extra 4 minions we got, because as of when I switch, I didn't have this and I started degen it, so this became priority to get. But yeah, everything else on the tree is basically the same. Enduring composure here, so I actually have endurance charges this time, and I do have Breach Lord bloodline ascendancy because I am considering going that, but I am not sold on it yet anyways, so we'll see what I end up deciding to do. And as you might imagine, my next upgrade is going to be probably a +2 wand, and then once I get a +2 wand done and dusted, I might consider a Doriani swap. As of last night, when I felt like I had a lot of currency, there were no sublime visions on trade, so it wasn't even an option for me to potentially swap to Doriani, because it was a consideration with how much currency I I had liquid. It was a big consideration, but I you know, that didn't happen. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to craft a +2 wand. Then I'm likely going to replace my amulets. Probably going to go for a Jinx Juju because that's a very defensively nice upgrade. But again, I really cannot recommend Bone Meld enough on a budget. This is, if you can make up for the resistances you lose, it is very fantastic. It's 2 levels, which is a lot of damage. It is the resistance for minions and its attributes, and it also has regen to help counter the degen from this one, which also really helps in the transitionary period. But yeah, that pretty much summarizes where my character is at. My next upgrades are going to be that, and eventually maybe I'll look at Doriani swap if I make enough currency to do that whole big swap then. But as of right now, I'm very comfortable with this setup. I do believe this character can farm T17s pretty comfortably. Realistically, I should swap out one of my Spectres with a Guardian Turtle for the defensive aura, and also pick up a Watcher's Eye, but all in due time. I just felt like I had spent way too much last night, so I just didn't go for it. If you want to see the crafting steps for like the boots, or what I did for the boots and the chest piece, you can check the end of my last stream. I crafted the chest and the boots on stream, so yeah, I can't complain. As usual, if you haven't already and you enjoyed the video, do consider liking and subscribing, as it helps out a lot with the algorithm. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. And with all that said, thank you for watching.